the Syrian educational platform. I am Ms. Nisreen Sabani, and I hope you will enjoy in the journey which I'm going to take you today. A journey by balloon. So, have you ever tried a ride in a hydrogen balloon, or you think it's only a dream? Of course, all of us have this dream to take a ride or take a tour in such a thing in our country sky. But do you think that we can use it as a transport to travel abroad, or it is a kind of entertainment only? Actually, someone did, and he was Andrew. Andrew is our hero today. Andrew is an explorer, and he tried to travel in a hydrogen balloon. But did he succeed or not? This is what we are going to know in our lesson today. Today's lesson is a reading text. It is a journey by balloon in your activity book, Unit 10, on page 58. And together today we are, at the end of the lesson, we will be able to describe places, talk about journeys, learn about expeditions. Okay? Now, before I start, I want to ask you if you know this place. What we call this place on the earth? If you do know it, yes, it is the North Pole. Where is the North Pole? And I think that you know that on the earth we have the North Pole and the South Pole. The North Pole in the Arctic and the South Pole in the Antarctic. So, in the North Pole, and you know also that in these two poles, they are covered with snow. They are completely covered with snow, and there is no life. And although of these difficult circumstances or this difficult kind of area, some people think to travel there. It was a desire. The desire to reach the North or South Pole always attracted sailors and explorers. What the meaning of a desire? A desire is the strong wish. When you want something strongly, this is a desire. So, many ships have been lost in the ice during these polar expeditions. Although of that, they always tried and tried to travel there. What the meaning of expedition? It's a new vocabulary for you. Expedition is a long and difficult journey to discover a new area. So it is not a journey to have fun. It is to discover. For example, Christopher Columbus, when he discovered America, he was in a geographic expedition. What happened? One Swedish exploration team had the idea of flying to the North Pole in a hydrogen balloon. Because traveling was difficult and the ships lost there, so he thought that he can travel there by a hydrogen balloon. So, here is Andre the leader. Andre the leader was an experienced Arctic explorer. He took with him two other men, Strudenberg, a scientist, and Frankel, an engineer. This is a real picture for the three explorers. Okay. They set off on the 11th of July, 1897. So, here is the Sweden, and they set off from Danes, which is an island in the Arctic. They live from there. The balloon was called Ornen. Ornen, it has a special meaning in the Swedish language. It is in a Swedish word, it is the Swedish word for an eagle. And you know that eagle always means power. So, and that is why there is a draw of an eagle on the balloon. Okay, so now we have covered the first column of our reading text. And to check our information, please answer the following question with me. The North and South Poles have attracted sailors, explorers, or both? Yes, of course, both of them. The Swedish team consisted of 2, 3, or 4 men. Do you remember the picture? Yes, they were 3. In Swedish, Ornen is a name of, think, bird or an island. What do you think, Ornen? Yes, he is a bird, and we said that he is the eagle, the Swedish word eagle. And our first question is, why did the explorer choose the name eagle for their balloon? Because an eagle is a powerful, high-flying bird. Okay? Let's go to the next step. Of course, now they are preparing to travel, and as an expedition, what do you think? What they have to take with them? We always think about food. That is why they take fuel for cooking, tents, guns as a kind of defense, boats, and sledges. What is sledges? Sledges is a type of ski for transporting people or goods across ice or snow. We only use sledges. Usually, here is the picture. It is with the boat. We only use the sledges on the ice. So this is what they will take with them. Now, please, I want you to read the second paragraph and tell me, why did they take sledges and tents with them in the basket? Can you find the answer, please? Yes, they take it in case they landed on the ice. They would then be able to make their way on foot. So they think that if they landed on the ice, they have to make their way on foot across the ice. So they need tents to spend the night, and they need sledges there. Another thing, of course, now they are the team of the expedition, and they are all the people is exciting about this expedition. So a crowd of spectators watched and cheered as the balloon took off. Here is the spectators. A crowd of spectators means a large group of people. Spectators usually means spectators are people who are watching an event. We can sometimes call the people who are watching a football match also a spectator. So they are the people who are watching an event. So the crowd of spectators watched and cheered, encouraged them, and said, yes, they were very happy about this expedition. But that was, unfortunately, the last time the men were ever seen alive. So, why? Do you think that they have died or what? This is what we will know. The balloon started leaking. What happened? What happened after they take off? After they took off, the balloon started leaking hydrogen gas. What the meaning of verb leak? It is as if there is a tiny hole in the balloon. So through this hole, the balloon flow through the air or the gas flow through this tiny hole. So the balloon started leaking hydrogen gas and began to drop lower and lower, like an ordinary balloon. On the 14th of July, pay attention to the date. On the 14th of July, they set off on the 11th of July, and now it is the 4th of July. The balloon got caught in freezing fog. What is a freezing fog? Look at the picture. Freezing fog is like when you find ice everywhere around you, even in the air. So this freezing fog was heavy. So the weight of the ice meant the balloon became too heavy to continue flying. So this is what happened with the balloon. Now we have finished the second paragraph. Let us check our information, but now I want you to tell me if the statements are true or false. A large group of people cheered as the balloon took off. Yes, of course, true, because a large group of people is the crowd which we talked about. The snow caused the dropping of the balloon. The snow is the reason which caused the dropping of the balloon, or what? Of course, false, because the freezing fog. Okay. 3. The balloon became too heavy because of the rain. Is there rain in the Arctic? Of course, it is false. The ice, not the rain, the ice which make the balloon heavy. Now, the third question in your book, in your activity book, said, what was the first serious problem with the balloon? Think about it. What is the first problem the team has first? What is it? I think it was that it began to leak hydrogen. This is the first problem. The first problem that the balloon began to leak hydrogen. And what happened 3 days after the takeoff, and on the 4th of July, the balloon got caught in a freezing fog. So it's a kind of sequence. It started with what? It started with this leaking of the hydrogen gas. Then the second thing, when the balloon dropped low and low, so it was coated by the freezing fog. Okay? Let's go to the third column, to the third paragraph in our text. And I want you to read it in 2 minutes and tell me what happened to them. Did they survived or died? What happened? Read it, please, and tell me. And think of the answer. You can tell me, of course, but think about the answer. First of all, let us know what is the difference between survived and died. When we say stopped living, what is it? Yes, it is died. And when we say that stayed alive despite a crash, this is the meaning of survive. Survive means that to stay alive. So what happened? The men tried to save themselves from crashing by throwing. Look at them, they are now throwing everything out of the basket to make it lighter. But this didn't work. How? Because the crash happened. They survived the crash into the ice. They survived. They stayed alive after the crash, after the damaging of their balloon. But what happened? they traveled across the ice for 2 months before they died. So, although they survived from the crash, but they died after 2 months. But how do we know that they died, and how do we know about all these story? Okay, this is what happened. The bad point is that it wasn't until more than 30 years later that their skeletons were found near White Island, east of Spitsbergen Island, by two Norwegian sailors. What does that mean? Two Norwegian sailors, after 30 years, they found, but they didn't find them. They found their skeleton. What is a skeleton? You know, it is only the bones of the body. So this is the sad point. But what is the good point? The good point, here is a picture. The good point is that the sailors also found, we mean the Norwegian sailors, also found Andre's diary and camera. Andre, the leader, he was writing his diary through these 2 months. So the diary, along with the photos, when they were developed, told the story of their long, difficult journey across the ice. This is the camera. I want to mention that all these photos, I found them yesterday when I was checking the images, and I was trying to find them. They are true. Some of them are true from the Andre's camera. So, to check our information, as usual, from the third paragraph, tell me, why did they throw all their food and equipment out of the basket? We said that. Yes, they wanted to make the balloon lighter and avoid crashing, but they didn't manage. How do we know the details of the balloonist's journey? Balloonist, the three main. How do we know these things? Yes, because a diary was found along with the camera and photos of the journey. And now try to choose A, B, or C. They traveled across the ice for 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years before they died. 2 months. So this is our sad story, but interesting. Now I want to check your information through pictures, and I prepared you a picture quiz. What we call this? A hydrogen balloon. And who are those? Yes, the exploration team. What is this place? The architect. Another picture. What we call this? These guys. This is a picture of another polar expedition. And this is a real picture for the day of the taking off. Yes, they are spectators. Also, what we call that? It is the fuel for cooking. And this is Andre's diary and camera. It's a real picture. And here is the sledges, which we use it as a transport on the ice. Okay? Now we have finished, and I want to end up with this picture. It is a real one from the museum. It holds a handkerchief of Andres, and he writes on it in his hand, Andres Pole Expedition. Thanks for your listening. I appreciate